Hey Hexers, it's Vertvixen again, and I want to show you the most amazing part about Hex and my personal favorite, live drafting. Booster Draft is an amazing format that makes a game out of opening booster packs. You never have the same experience twice. The decks, cards, and actions are always changing in exciting ways. Unlike Constructed, drafting doesn't use cards from players' collections. A player with no cards can compete with all other players equally. In Booster Draft, 8 players sit around a virtual table with 3 booster packs each. Players will open their first pack, take 1 card out of the 15, then pass the booster to the left. Players then receive 14 cards from their right, take 1 card, pass the remaining cards to the left, and continue this until the first pack is empty. Then, they open the second pack, this time passing to the right and repeating the process. Players will open their third pack and pass to the left, repeating the process one more time. Finally, they will build a 40-card minimum deck out of the cards that they've drafted, and play in a tournament against the other players at the table. In order to draft, you want to go to Play Now in the navigation bar and choose Tournaments. When you select a tournament queue, you can see all of the information for it on the right. The draft is a single elimination and will start when all 8 players have signed up. So, this tournament will be 3 rounds and there are currently 2 players in the queue. You can click on the Rewards tab to see what players will earn for participating. 1st through 4th place receives packs for winning, and 5th through 8th place all earn gold. Those prizes are delivered to you through in-game mail once the tournament is complete. Click Join Queue and it will show you the cost for your tournament. For Booster Draft, it takes 3 packs to draft plus a 100 Platinum entry fee for the prizes. Remember that you keep the cards in your drafted cards pile and they go into your collection. Now that we're in the queue, you can watch as it fills to 8 players. Once it does, you will be sent to the tournament lobby and then to the drafting screen. Before we draft, let's talk about some of the cards that you should be looking to take. Amongst many TCG players, there is a well-known acronym called BREAD that helps them remember which cards to snag. B stands for Bomb Card. A bomb card is a win condition. This card on its own could possibly win you the game. Wild Root Dancer can buff your entire army if left unchecked, and it only takes a few attacks for Jadeem to end the game. The R stands for Removal. These cards can destroy your opponent's troops as well as remove them from the playing field. Repel is a low-cost answer to attackers, and Ruby Lance is direct damage for a heavy Ruby deck. The E stands for Evasion. These troops can break through most defenses. Phoenix Guard Scout can only be blocked by other flight troops. Wailing Banshee can only be blocked by artifact and blood troops. The A stands for Aggression. You typically want to be attacking early and often. Thunderbird, one of the best troops in the game, hits early and hits hard. Feral Ogre has more attack than most other 2-drops, and he has Crush to get through defenders. The D stands for Defenses. You need a bit of defense too, but for the most part, these are the lowest priority cards. Soothing Breeze can give you a health boost, and Zodiac Shaman has a big butt to soak up attacks. Another important thing about draft is that you have a limited amount of time to select your card from a pack. There is less time to make your choice each time cards are passed to you. When opening the 2nd or 3rd booster pack, the clock resets. And now it's time to draft. This is our first pack. We're going to select 1 card and put it into our drafted card pile. Then pass the remaining cards to the left and receive the next pack from the right. First, you will want to take a look at our rare, as some rares are very powerful bombs that can win the game on their own. In this case, our rare is Ragefire. It's direct troop removal, so that's pretty good. Plus, it has escalation, which means it will go back into our deck, and the next time we use it, it will be even better. There's also Cray Squirrel Titan here. a big body that will battle a troop when it comes into play. Battle means that the troops deal damage to each other equal to their attack. Other decent cards in here are Mesmerize and Survival of the Fittest. I'm going to take the Ragefire as removal and pass the rest. Hopefully, Ruby Lance will return when this pack comes back around. This is the second pick of our first pack. First, let's take a look at Resurrection. That's a big effect, but at 9 resources, it's a little too slow for booster draft. Incubation Slave is good, exploding with 2 attack and 1 defense spider tokens. Manti Elder Druid is also great. He defends against any permanent buffs that our opponents may be packing. Overall, I'm going to stick with Ruby, as Ruby Pyromancer is one of the best commons. Players don't always have to take cards of the same shard so early, but it helps to decide your shard mix early to guide your picks. Let's take a look at our third pick. Petrobot is great with other artifacts and robots. Arena Brawler is a very aggressive troop. Adamanthian Scrivener is a great early troop, and Diamond pairs well with Ruby. Shroom Tank would be good in a Wild Blood Shinhair deck, but that's not where my cards are leading me. I could have taken the Arena Brawler here, but instead I'll dabble in Diamond with the Scrivener. The fourth pick. There's a Howling Brave in Wild and a giant Corpse Fly for a dedicated Blood Drafter due to its double blood threshold. Wind Whisperer is in Diamond, but there's a better card for us in that shard, Noble Citizenry. Aggressive decks can run out of gas quickly, and this troop buffs our early beatdown artists to make sure they can push through the opposing blockers. Plus, you get a 2 attack and 3 defense body. Let's look at the bin and how you can use it to stay organized. Many players like to build their deck as they go along in their drafted card screen. Scrap Welder is a Ruby card, but it's not very good for our type of deck. If you don't want to see this card, you can put it in your bin. Click and drag the card to the bin icon. Then, click the bin tab to see the cards you've put there. If you ever put a card in the bin on accident, click and drag it back to the icon. It will return to the drafted cards pile. Skipping ahead to pack 2, we have an average pack. There's Briar Patch Conjurer, which would be good for a Briar Legion deck. Phoenix Guard Aeronaut is a potential pick for us and allows for some nice gems. Wild Growth is a great combat trick. Ruby Lance would be good if we were playing only Ruby cards. We'll go with the Aeronaut to give us a flight troop, and we can either socket it with speed if we're aggressive, or otherwise give it the Swift Strike gem. That's the awesome part about socketed cards. You're in control of the card, and you can customize it to your deck's needs. Let's skip even further ahead to pack 3. At this point, we're solidly Ruby Diamond with plenty of good troops and actions. Now we're looking to improve our deck. Our rare is Lord Benjamin the Wise. Good for humans, but we're not playing Sapphire. Then there's Chimera Guard Outrider. He may not look like much, but he's amazing in our deck. We can use Noble Citizenry to buff him up. The only other card we can take here is Effigy of Nulzan. So we're going to take the Outrider. The plan will be to play the Outrider on turn 4, then buff him on turn 5 to make him a 2/6 troop. When he attacks, he'll get +6 attack from his defense, so he becomes an 8/6 attacker. He becomes huge. When drafting, you'll want to look for those little combos like that. We call that synergy, and it's critical to a successful draft deck. Once you take your final card out of pack 3, you will be taken to the limited deck builder and given 15 minutes. We ended up with a solid Ruby Diamond deck. Since we know our shards, we can turn off the other shards. As far as bread goes, we didn't really nab any bombs. It'll be tough to win games against other bombs, but we're strong in other areas. We have tons of removal, 4 burns will scorch any early opposition, and we also have our Ragefire, Bombsmith, and Inner Conflict. For solid troops, we have our double noble citizenry, plus our Chimera Guard Outrider, who we'll try to buff. For aggressive actions, we have Crushing Blow, which is best in a faster deck than ours, but is still fine here. We have a Ruby Aura, which is incredible in our deck and will make blocking a dangerous proposition for our opponent. Now let's look at our more average troops. Quick Strider can become great if we buff him. We can throw Adamanthian Scrivener in there too. For evasion, we have our Phoenix Guard Aeronaut. Oops, forgot to add the second Scrivener. We also have Skyle Griffin for evasion. Let's add Arena Brawler and Shield Trainer, then take a look at our deck sorted by cost. We generally want 23 cards and 17 resources, so we have room for one more card. We could add the Savage Raider, or we could go with Rigid Buffalo. The Buffalo is going to be difficult to play early consistently due to the double diamond threshold requirement, so we'll probably pass even with the Shards of Fate in our deck. Blinding Light can be a good combat trick, and Shadowblade Lurker is an average 3-drop to fill out our curve. Let's add the Lurker to get another body in our deck. Now let's sort by shard. We have about an equal amount of Ruby and Diamond shards. We have a few cards that ask for us to have 2 threshold, but neither card asks us to have it very early, so we can do an even split on resources. Before we're done, we have to gem out our Aeronaut. I'll click on the empty slot and choose a gem. We could give him Swift Strike. We could also do Ruby of Flames, but a Flight Troop already has evasion. We could do Speed, but our deck isn't fast enough, and I would rather have the Swift Strike gem. Finally, we can choose our champion. The champion represents you in the game, and each has a special power. Since we're Ruby and Diamond shards, we will want to choose one of those champions. Dimid and Farney don't really fit into our decks. Lady Elizabeth can create an Adamanthian Elite, but we don't need that extra troop. Lionel Flynn, One Eye Open, and Polka don't really work for us either. Tetzot is a favorite of mine, but Palamedes is our guy. He can give +1 attack and +1 defense permanently to any troop. That will be great with our Chimera Guard Outrider, Quick Strider, and our flight troops. The remaining cards that didn't make it into our deck are automatically put into your reserves. You can swap cards from your reserves into your deck before games 2 and 3 within a match. The final thing we need to do before we can play is save our deck. You must save your deck before the timer runs out. And now you know the basics about drafting. If you want to learn more, visit www.hextcg.com. Thank you for watching, good luck with your draft, and I'll see you all in end draft.